Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Guns N' Roses' 1993 cover album, The Spaghetti Incident, specifically with the quotes and the question mark at the end. It's alright, especially for a cover album, but it's not really anything special, and probably because it's a cover album, it really can't be great in my opinion, right? Best it can be is just pretty good. So, this album's alright. This is the track listing. These are mostly rock tracks. I think this punk stuff. I haven't really listened to any of these bands, so I'm not really familiar with any of these songs. So, I wasn't really comparing any of them against the originals for this one. So these are the tracks I added to my playlist. 7 out of 13, just 1 over half. This album is basically the best you can expect from a cover album, in my opinion. If you're gonna do all covers, this is kind of the best it's gonna be without just being full of songs that everyone knows. There's a lot of different stuff here. Some of it's good, some of it's old, and some of it's boring. But overall, there's a good amount of good tracks in here. So, as cover albums go, pretty good. As an album, it flows all right, considering that it's a cover album with a bunch of different musicians on it. They clearly chose songs that would go sort of well together. But the main problem is that there isn't really anything that stands out. This album's good, but it's not really standoutish. There's nothing really special about it. It's just got a bunch of tracks that are covers of other songs that I've never heard of before, but they sound mostly alright, and Guns N' Roses does them pretty good, so it's just all right. There's nothing real special here. There's only one single released before the album, Ain't It Fun? And my favorite song here is probably the second track, New Rose. Although Down on the Farm and Hair of the Dog were strong competitors for this spot, I do think New Rose is the best here out of all of them. But yeah, it was definitely close. It wasn't a clear winner for favorite. Now, I rank this album 4th out of Guns N' Roses. All the Guns N' Roses albums I've heard so far, it's only over GNR Lies. I don't really think this album beats out any of the original sort of fully invested albums, and it only really beats out GNR Lies because half of that album is covers anyway, and it only has 8 songs on it. So, the Spaghetti Incident is just more and thus slightly better. It's the similar amount of quality, but because it has more songs on it, it does take over that spot. But I don't think it's as good as Appetite for Destruction, and definitely not as good as Use Your Illusion 1 or 2. Also, this album doesn't take my top spot from 1993. That goes to Billy Joel's River of Dreams, which is certainly a much better album and just better in general. Next up is Adele's debut 2008 album, 19, the songs were written when she was 19. That's how she names her albums. It's pretty good and interesting. All of her albums are pretty good, and she's got a distinct style which is very different than most of pop music at the time. So pretty good. So excited to review that, and as always, stay minty.